Hi everyone. Thanks for joining our Ning Talk session on how to run your own ads. As with some of our other Ning Talk sessions, the purpose of today's event is to share some beginner level instruction, tips, and best practices to help you get started with your Ning network. As part of today's webinar, we'll be joined by a fellow network creator, Alice from My Modern Met. Alice and her team have been successful in running ads on their network, so we thought it'd be helpful to have them here today to share some of their experiences with all of you. So, let's get started. I want to go over the agenda for today's webinar just on a high level. We'll start with a couple slides on selling your own ad space, how you can go about doing that, and adding ad space to your Ning network. Next, we'll move on to signing up for an ad network, some of the different options you have there. Third, we'll talk about selling sponsorships as a kind of alternative way of running ads. Finally, we'll move to Alice's portion of the webinar where she's going to talk about her network, My Modern Met. And lastly, we'll highlight some information resources that are available online and then open it up for questions. So I'm going to talk about selling your own ad space right now, and the first step to that is to actually create some space for ads on your Ning network. The way of doing this is adding a couple text boxes to your Ning network's main page. You can do this from the Features layout area, which is under Settings on your My Network tab. So I'm actually going to switch over to my test network right now and go to the My Network tab, and find the Features Layout link in the Settings area. Once there, you'll see I have several text boxes already. I'm going to drag a text box from the left side over to an area, in this case left column or center column of my network. Note that if I add it to the right column, that green area turns blue, and that when you put a text boxes there or any content there will appear on all pages of your Ning network. And you would then, once you're done, save your changes. In this case, I'm not going to save my changes because I already have several text boxes ready, and I'll go ahead and return to the deck. Next thing you want to do when selling your own ad space is to clarify the advertising terms. So think about if you want to have ads running on a monthly basis, yearly, quarterly, weekly, whatever you want. And then think about the ad placement. Do you want them to be on a separate page, on a splash page, on your network's main page? And if on the main page, where would you want it? And lastly, think about the format of the ads. Do you want a kind of tall and long skyscraper style ad? Do you want more of a square ad? Do you want a flash ad, an image ad, a video ad? There are lots of different options to consider. And finally, you want to track your ads and your placement options carefully. You can do this in an Excel spreadsheet or a text document just to make sure you're managing any changes you make, and this will also help you with billing your advertisers as well. So I'd like to briefly discuss some tips and best practices around selling your own ad space. One key tip is to rotate the placements of the ads so that your main page always stays fresh. Your members probably don't want to see the same ad in this, smack in the center of the main page for an entire year. So it's always good to rotate things around, making sure content stays fresh. Similarly, you can set limits on ads. We just discussed running ads on a monthly or yearly basis or weekly. You want to make sure that you have some limits on the ads so that, again, content remains fresh. Third, check the ad performance and make changes based on any analytics you get. So most ad providers like AdSense and AdBright will give you analytics on ads so that you can see what your members are clicking on, what they like, what they don't like, and you can make changes based on that. And there's a good example of this, the network Duke City Fix, which is a local network based in Albuquerque, New Mexico, noticed a kind of sharp decline in click-through rates on their ads. And when they went to the analytics, they saw that most of the ads that were displayed were for hotels. And since the members already lived in Albuquerque, they weren't interested in hotels. So they rotated that ad out, and they saw the ad traffic improve as a result. Lastly, you can put multiple ads in the same text box. So even if you paste in one ad code, you can paste in others below that. So a good example of a network with multiple ads in the same area is Twitter Moms, and they're at twittermoms.com. You'll see in the right-hand column here, they have several images for different advertisements, and this is a single text box that they've used different ad codes for and placed multiple ads. So this is just a great way to use a single text box for multiple advertisements. It gives you a lot of freedom, and you can rotate these as you see fit. In this case, it's a good example of ad placement as well because the ads on the right don't interfere with all the content that they want to highlight in the center column and left column of the network. So I'm going to move on now to signing up for an ad network, and the help term that you can search for in the Ning Help Center at help.ning.com for this is run your own ads. So the first step is to sign up for an ad network that best fits your needs, and you can definitely evaluate some of these options below, such as AdSense, Yahoo Publisher, OpenX, and AdBright. You can run multiple ad networks at once. It's just important to find the network that fits best for your Ning network's needs. So AdSense might have some options that Yahoo Publisher doesn't, or you might get more of the kind of ads you're looking for if you want image or flash ads with AdBright. It's just a good thing for trial and error. So just try a couple of these out, find what works best, and move on from there. And again, the way of adding specific ad code to your network is to do so in a text box. That's step 2. And so I will go ahead and copy this over from a text file and paste it onto my test network. So I'm switching over to a text editor. I'm grabbing an AdBright code, and I'm going to go to my test network, scroll down to the text box I created, paste the code in, and save my changes. Once this page reloads, an ad will appear. And it may take a couple extra seconds for your new ad to appear. So there it is. And as you add more members and content to your network, ads will be even more relevant to your network's needs. And to remove the ad, I'll go ahead and click on the edit button again, delete that code that I added, save my changes, and it's gone. So another way, I'm going to return to the deck here, of running advertising is to sell sponsorships on your Ning network. And we have a good case study of this at about.ning.com/revenue I wanted to mention. But a good way of going about this would be to send out a blog post outlining the sponsorship agreement and terms, how long the sponsorship would last, what branding options you would offer to the sponsor, be it a homepage text box for the sponsor or a logo in your Ning Network's header, a special blog post, or a featured member profile if you want to actually have the business sign up for your network, etc. Send a broadcast message to your members. Another option is to promote this off your network. Feel free to reach out to local businesses and organizations to see if they're interested in sponsoring your Ning network. Lastly, you want to use PayPal or some other online payment mechanism that allows you to issue invoices, just to make things easy for both you and any sponsors that choose to sponsor your Ning network. Practices associated with selling sponsorships. First one, of course, is to target relevant sponsors. And you can definitely ask your members which brands may be the most appropriate to them. If it's in the case of Twitter Moms, they have a lot of family-oriented sponsorships and ads. Next tip is to give your sponsor prominent placement. So this could be a text box on your main page or someplace in your header. It could read sponsored by or brought to you by a local business or organization, just to make sure that your sponsor gets the recognition it deserves for sponsoring your network.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. Hi, everyone. This is Alice. I'm the founder of My Modern Met. Garner asked me to share my story with you, and I just want to start off by saying that it's a thrill and an honor. Just to give you an idea of what I'll be talking about, here's a quick outline. First, I'll give you a brief background of my Ning site. Then I'll go into some important areas to concentrate on even before you start selling any advertising, like content and building traffic. I'll tell you how we started working with ad networks. And finally, I'll end with some ideas about ways you can go beyond just selling banner advertising. Next slide, please. Okay. Well, My Modern Met is a modern lifestyle site that concentrates on three key categories: art, design, and photography. We started back in May 2008, and we currently get about 1.9 million unique visitors to our site each month and deliver over 4 million page views. Our annual revenue is about in the six figures, and I work on this site full time with Eugene, my partner. So, concentrating on content, even before you start thinking about selling advertising, uh, you want to be able to really concentrate on your content. And the blog is where you're going to be able to convey your passion. You have to remember who your audience is. We're particularly guided by 3 E's. That's educating, entertaining, and creating emotional connection. We always remember to listen to feedback, comments, emails, and then we make our adjustments where necessary. So in a sense, you just have to be really flexible. Remember to help others. As an art and design site, we conduct a lot of interviews with photographers and artists, and we're always looking to help them with their careers. Creating lasting relationships goes along with helping others. It's having a long-term plan, thinking about developing real relationships that are based on trust. And finally, always remember that original content is king. By putting in the time to really create something original, you'll find that it goes farther, you'll get more link backs, and you'll start becoming a real source. So you got great content. How do you get people to your network? Their tendency might be to stay within your site. You have to reach out to larger blogs or social network sites like Dig, Reddit, and StumbleUpon to really bring in people. These more established sites have a larger user base, and they're always looking for great content. So take the time to be part of them and get to know what their communities are like, and then you can naturally submit your posts. Build up your Facebook and Twitter followers by engaging people there. Again, think about who your Facebook and Twitter followers are and think about which pieces of content they'll enjoy the most. And finally, engage your community. First and foremost, you're a Ning social network, so make sure your members are happy. Be active on your site and remember to participate. Now, for a quick example of a post that went viral on My Modern Met. Less than a month ago, my partner wrote about a 91-year-old grandma whose grandson dressed her up as a superhero. The photos weren't just creative, the story behind this grandmother was incredible. You can read more about it on My Modern Met, but basically she's a Holocaust survivor and she saved the lives of people during World War II. To our surprise, sorry, next slide. A few days after the post was written, huge sites like Boing Boing, Reddit, and Huffington Post picked up the story and linked us back as their source. So this created a huge viral effect, and we later found out that the photographer started getting offers to develop a movie. So now you got great content and you have traffic. How do you monetize? You want to research ad networks that fit your niche. Then you have to dive a little deeper, try to figure out what their criteria is to be accepted. So that might be unique visitors, page views, etc. Apply through their website and then find their emails and send them a separate message explaining to them why you think they should represent you. But most important, be persistent and persevere. If you don't get accepted the first time, you have to find out why. Approach them again after you made some significant changes like a redesign. And remember, you might not be right for them at that particular time. They're often looking to fill a vertical category. If you don't fit that category at that time, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try again later. So you want to move beyond selling banner advertising and you want to seek sponsorships now. Okay, so what you should do here is have a face-to-face meeting with your ad network. They want to build trust with you, and they want to get to know you more. So recently for us, for instance, we gave away a Windows 7 phone, and that deal came only after about 9 months of working with them. So it really goes to show that you need to have trust with your ad network. You also want to seek out specific brands that are in line with your site. For example, if you're a photography social network, you may want to reach out to camera brands and explain to them that you have their visitors that are eager to learn about their products. And finally, develop custom ideas. The more creative, the better. Brands want out-of-the-box ideas. Let them sponsor one of your posts, create contests, and develop content series. Just make sure it's really organic to your site. Eugene and I run the site full time, but we're also available for anybody who wants kind of just the one-on-one kind of consulting. And we can do like an hour consultation. We can look over your site, and then we can kind of give you feedback based on the experiences that we've had in the past like 2.5 years since we've run our site. So just want to put that out there.